Good evening to everybody that's online right now. Just want to welcome you in. Hopefully you can hear and see the Welcome to Chattahoochee High School screen up. We will give it just a few more minutes. It's only 5:58 right now, and we will begin right around 6 o'clock. Thank you so much for being here. All right, everyone, we're right at the top of the hour, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I see we're up over 100 attendees, so thank you everyone for being here. Thank you for also accommodating the shift to online. As of last week, we were still at 30% capacity in Fulton County venues for outside community events, so I was not sure how we were going to figure out what 30% of our 8th grade population at Taylor Road was, so I appreciate you joining us online instead for this. There should be a Q&A available to you. Should you have questions, please put those in the question and answer box, and we will do our best to get them answered in live time. And then we will try to compile a lot of those questions afterwards and put them together, kind of the most popular questions and answers, and send those over to Taylor Road to distribute out to you. We will also send out a recording of this event so that you can go back and review it anytime. We are so excited to welcome your kids up to Chattahoochee High School. They are the class of 2026, which to say out loud does not sound even possible, but they are coming in. We had an awesome day together last Thursday in the afternoon. I'm a longtime middle school educator and somewhat newer high school educator, and I have to say that that is one of the best behaved 8th grade groups that I've ever seen. They were really just completely attentive. They jumped right in with our seniors and juniors. They gave them tours around the building, and we got such great feedback from the kids that toured them around. I say kids, you know, our 17 and 18-year-old juniors and seniors. The teachers who saw the kids coming, your kids coming through the hallways, had tons of compliments from them, and got lots of good feedback from Taylor Road teachers and from your kids too. So we were extremely excited to have them here. I think they learned a lot, hopefully. I'm hoping that they got out of some of their middle school ways and came home and told you some things that they learned that day. And we will go through some of the same things here tonight and then go a little bit more in depth onto some topics of kind of what we offer here at Hooch. So on the meeting with me tonight is Elizabeth Chilson, who is one of our 5 school counselors. She works with me very closely on transitioning up the 9th grade students. We also have MJ Kang, who is one of our bilingual parent liaisons, mostly serving our Korean community. We have Mr. Michael Crooks, who is one of our social studies department teachers, and he's going to talk to you a little bit later about AP Human Geography, because I know that AP Gov and AP Human Geography are 2 big things that our Taylor Road parents want to know about. And then we have Amanda Weil, who is our TAG department chair, and she will be talking to you towards the end of the night about all things TAG. So many of your kids coming up to us are TAG qualified, and then even some more of them will become TAG qualified during their years in high school. So, like I said before, welcome to Chattahoochee High School, the best high school in Fulton County. We're excited to have everyone here with us. So a little bit about kind of the school in general, led by your administrative team, 5 of us here. Dr. Mike Todd is the principal of the school. I think he is in his 3rd year as principal here. And then there are 4 assistant principals. What we do is we serve an alphabet collection of names, and I love that we do it that way because it means that I get to stay with my kids for all 4 years, and I really get to know them, learn them, build a relationship with them, and do whatever I can to try and make their high school years as successful as it can possibly be. So I'm Jonathan Adele. I have all last names A through E. Right next door to me in the AP office will be Mr. Garrett Abelkop, who is actually right next door to me right now, moving back in, returning to us at Chattahoochee High School. I think many of your kids will remember him because he was at Taylor Road prior to his current position at Johns Creek High School, but he is now coming back home to Hooch, where he attended school and where he graduated. Last names M through R is Dr. Ingrid Parham, who is in her 2nd year here with us, and last names S through Z are Miss Gwen Harris, who is in her 3rd year here. I think from our perspective, we have an awesome team that works together. Nobody works in a silo, and we do everything that we can possibly do to make sure that our students are served here at Chattahoochee. I'll turn it over to Ms. Chilson, who will talk you through some of the particulars of our counseling department.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mrs. Chilson. I am one of the school counselors, one of 5 school counselors here at Chattahoochee. This is my 15th year as a high school counselor, my 7th year at Chattahoochee. I would say that all of the counselors here are very well versed in high school counseling. Everybody is fantastic. We do split the names similar to how the administrative team splits up the alphabet. The counselors have a split in alphabet too. So I have all last names A through DAQ. Mrs. Johnson is our head counselor. She has all last names DAR through HEL. Mrs. Fitzsimmons has all last names HEM through MAR. Miss Blunt has MAS through SAH, and Miss Jones has SAI through Z. I think you'll find that our team works very well together. We ask a lot of questions and consult with each other just to make sure everybody's being served correctly. But you will keep your same counselor all the way through graduation. So we really do get to know the family. If you have had an older child that has already come through Chattahoochee, then you probably are familiar with the counselor that you've been working with. Occasionally there are last name changes to even out the caseloads, but it's pretty rare that that happens. Miss Fitzsimmons is our newest counselor this year. She took over for Miss Vermurray. However, she's been a great addition to the team and just really jumped in wholeheartedly, ready to go. And she actually interned with us and interned at Taylor Road Middle School previously. So she actually is probably fairly familiar with a lot of these students that are coming up. But we're glad to have you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Chilson. Counselors, you may not have had so much contact with them in elementary and middle school, but you will have a ton of contact with your child's school counselor during their high school years. And I can tell you that there is not a better team of counselors anywhere in the state of Georgia and the United States. These 5 women move mountains for our kids and really help them in every possible way to put that foot up and be successful. Okay, so just kind of some generals of the day. We have a 7-period day. This year, the class periods are 52 minutes each. Sometimes we adjust just a little bit year to year. Your child will take 6 classes a day, so that means that one of their 7 periods is going to be their lunch period. 3rd, 4th, and 5th are our school-wide lunch periods, and one out of those 3 will be assigned to your child as they come to high school. I talk to them a lot about that, actually, because it's either a place that can go really well or really poorly in high school, but they do have a whole entire class period, a 52-minute class period for their lunchtime, and they get a ton of freedom. They can eat in the cafeteria, they can eat outside in the courtyard out front or in the bus loop. Our kids, as I explained to the 8th graders when they came over, they get that freedom because it's something that they've shown that they can handle. And we love the fact that they get to, do what they feel that they need to do during that time. If you come past the bus loop during lunch periods, you'll see 9th through 12th graders out there playing soccer, playing football, just getting some of that energy burned off during the course of the day. Or you could walk into the media center and see kids hard at work studying. You could come into the cafeteria and see kids studying or talking. So it can be either a time where they really catch up or they get to kind of shake it loose for a little bit. Chat time happens at the end of 2nd period. The kids don't change classes. It's kind of a tag on to that 2nd period class. And chat time is used as a 26-minute break in the day. Some of our students who receive RTI services or additional academic services go to visit a interventionist, a specialist teacher during that time. Others will remain with their 2nd period teacher, complete classwork, do things to get caught up for the day, work with that teacher one-on-one, or sometimes get a pass to see another teacher to get extra help. So chat time is a really great addition into the schedule. Your progress reports for kids, just like middle school and elementary school, in fact, everything's on the same timeline now in Fulton County, those come out every 4.5 weeks. So we're getting ready right now, already on February 1st, to push out our first progress report of the new semester. And then final grades are posted at the end of every semester. So just to remember, as you go through the semester, everything is a progress report. It's never a final grade until this last day of the semester. Our bell schedule, I put this up here just to show you what it kind of looks like this year. It's probably going to change just a little bit. I told the students when they came over last week that this year we have 7 minutes in between classes, and we did that coming back into a very COVID-heavy world back in August, and we wanted to give our hallways as much time as we could for kids to kind of space out and not feel rushed, feel free to take an alternate path or whatever else. I'm hoping that we're back to a little bit more normal next year, and we will probably reduce it back down to 5 minutes in between classes, which then gives our teachers and students a little bit more time in class.
Okay, so now we're going to speak to the grading procedures at high school, which may be a little bit different than how they do things at the middle school. But your student's going to have a 7-period day. 6 of those are going to be classes that they receive a grade in. An A is a 90 to 100, a B is an 80 to 89, and a C is a 70 to 79. An F is anything below a 70, so 69 and below would be an F on the student's transcript. Transcripts are really important when it comes to high school grading. It's so important that students come into high school doing their best because, when you start high school, that's kind of when everything starts being logged on a transcript, and that's what colleges or admissions folks will be looking towards later down the line. They're going to be looking at the overall numeric average on a student's transcript. For any student that does pass an honors and advanced placement or a dual enrollment course, a college class, they are given 7 additional points that are going to be added to the grade at the end of the term. And so each term is separate and they get their own individual grade. We don't average together or anything like that. Will you move to the next slide? Thank you. So how is middle school grading different than high school? So typically in middle school, grades are averaged together. Semester would be, semester 1, for example, if you got a 60 in first semester, but then the next semester you really rocked it out and you got an 80, then the final grade for the student would be a 70 and the student would pass that class. However, for high school, each semester is its own independent grade and they are not averaged together. So for example, if a student 9th grade year was taking their English class, their 9th grade English class, and for the fall term they earned a 60, and then second semester came around and got the 80, then they have to retake that first semester in summer school. So that semester 1 average would be a failing grade on the transcript, and then the semester 2 average would be, much better if you got the 80. And so hopefully we're seeing students do their very best work the first time around so that they're not having to retake classes, because ultimately failing grades on a transcript are not ideal. It is hard to pull up a GPA if it kind of takes a hit early on. Just as a lot of my seniors currently are like, what could I do to pull my grades up? But it's very hard to pull up a GPA once you've banked so many hours. So it's one of those things that in high school, it's really important to do your best out of the gate and just strive for, your best work. There's a lot of supports in place to get help, get assistance. I know there's like a lot of tutoring that happens within the walls of the school, and also we have a company that we have partnered with to do tutoring outside of school. So there are a lot of opportunities to get help if you have a struggling student. To talk specifically about graduation and how many credits you have to graduate, all students in Fulton County do have to have 23 credits to graduate, and those 23 credits have to be in very specific areas. They cannot be just all fun stuff, art classes and electives and weight training and all the fun stuff that a student wants to take. There's very specific core credits that are required. Every student has to have 4 credits of English, 4 credits of math. For science, there's 4 credits that are required specifically. Every student has to have a biology and a physics or a physical science, and then plus students have to have an earth, an environmental, or a chemistry. And then the last credit, the 4th credit, can really be any science that they're qualified to take. Social studies, there's 3 credits that are required for social studies. That would be your American government that you take freshman year, that's a half credit. Then 10th grade year, every student takes world history for a full credit. Then junior year, students take US history, United States history for a credit. And then your senior year, you do economics for another half credit. So those total up the 3 that you have to graduate. I know Mr. Crooks is on the line and he's going to talk later about AP Human Geography. AP Human Geography is considered an elective credit, even though it falls under social studies. However, it's what we classify as a core elective, meaning it does count towards your academic GPA because it's a social studies class. But if you choose to do AP Human, you still owe me the American government, you still owe the, the other classes that are required under the social studies field. This also is the case for like when you're a junior, if you want to take AP Psychology, for example, that too is a core elective. It's not one of the required social studies, but a lot of students opt to take it later. All students also do 3 credits of a career tech elective, a world language, or a fine art. This is a category on the graduation plan that can be a mix and match. A lot of Colleges do expect at least 2 years of a world language, possibly 3, depending on how selective or competitive the college might be. So that's something to take into consideration. I do want to make the point, however, that world language is not required for graduation in Fulton County. So students could do fine arts and career tech. If they don't plan to start at a 4-year college, then that's perfectly fine. It's just one of those things that you kind of need to think about long term, because to get those 2 years of a language in, you need to start before, or by the time we get to junior year, so you have 2 years to get it in. Health is a half credit and personal fitness is also a half credit. Some students may be able to waive out of personal fitness if they are on the JV or varsity sport, or they play in the marching band at the high school level. You cannot complete the waiver form until the season has been completed. It is one of those things that you also, most students it wouldn't even be in their schedule until senior year. It's usually paired with economics, so it's not something that you have to think about right off the bat. Usually American government freshman year is paired with health, so that would be the pairing for your freshman year. For electives, those can be any additional 4 credits that you choose to take. I mean, we do have some students that need, for example, a math support class. That counts as an elective. If a student takes a class like AP Human Geography, that is elective credit and goes in the elective field. So anything additional above and beyond the required classes, the English, the math, the science, social studies, those kinds of things roll over to your 4 credits of electives. Again, you need 23 credits to graduate. You can potentially earn 6 credits per year. So 6 times 4 years would be 24 credits. So if you do everything the way we've structured it, you'll actually have 1 credit more than you have to graduate.
All right, thank you so much, Ms. Chilson. So we'll just talk very briefly about kind of the different courses and their placement options. So essentially, there are 3 levels of classes offered at Chattahoochee. There's on-level, there's honors, and there's advanced placement. On-level and honors will typically carry, the same name. So you might have 9th Lit, 9th grade literature, or you might have 9th grade literature honors. And there's just different placement requirements that go into that based off of their grade in middle school and other criteria set forth by the county. So I think many of you have probably gone in with your student and started to look at their academic plan for their elective selection. If you did that, you might see your current 8th grade teacher's recommendations in place. That's a really important part of that transition from middle school to high school, is those teachers making the correct course placements for the students. We want them to be appropriately challenged, but we also want them to be appropriately placed. There is definitely a thing of overplacement or underplacement for kids, and so we strive really hard to make sure that everybody is in the right place for them. And I want you to remember, just as parents, I know we all feel a lot of pressure for our kids to succeed, but just remember that somebody else's path is not your child's path. So just because you know a bunch of people in honors classes, if your child is not in those same honors classes, it is okay. They're going to be where they're supposed to be, and the biggest thing is that we want them to achieve and we want them to be successful at what they do. Advanced placement courses exist in almost all content areas across the school. They are upper level classes. They are technically deemed to be college level classes. Students who, for the most part, earn 4s and 5s on those AP exams at the end of the course will typically earn college credit for most schools across the United States. Advanced placement, really, for freshmen, there are 2 options, AP Government and AP Human Geography. AP Human Geography, like Mr. Crooks will talk to you about in just a little bit, is a choice class. It's really probably the most approachable AP course in the school, and with an incredible teacher like Mr. Crooks, we know that every kid gets what they need as they go through that class. AP Government is one that we are reviewing the data of the 8th graders, mainly their current course paths, like the classes that they're in right now, the academic rigor of the courses that they're in, as well as some standardized testing. And we will make a selection of students who we think will be best suited for AP Government, and those kids will receive an invitation sometime in the month of February from us to join the AP Government class. If your child receives that recommendation, it's because we think that they will be a really good fit in there. It's a very rigorous class. It's probably intended for more upper level students rather than freshmen. And that's the reason that that class is stretched out over the course of a full school year instead of one semester like the typical on-level government classes. Another unique program that I'm sure many of you know about is our Advanced Science program, otherwise known as ASP. That is for our highest achieving scientific students, and what they do is in 1 year they earn both their biology and their chemistry year-long credit. They take each course for 1 semester. So for example, some kids will take biology in the fall, they will finish it in December, take that end of course test, and then proceed on to chemistry in the next year. And again, we're using some set criteria to extend invitations to the students who we think will be most successful in that class, and those will also come in the month of February. So we're asking teachers from Taylor Road not to make recommendations for that, so that's a little bit different from the past. So if you don't see that in there, it's because the teachers did not make recs, and Chattahoochee will be extending those invitations. Okay, so on that, this is just a real quick view of what a typical 9th grade schedule would look like. For your typical on-level student, it would be 9th grade literature, Algebra 1, biology, government, and then health. Could be either or. During the fall and spring semesters, they don't have to go government, fall, health in the spring. A world language, and then some other elective, career tech, fine arts, performing arts, any of those areas. And an honors schedule would be either 9th lit honors or 10th, since many of our kids are already in 9th grade literature this year. Probably some sort of accelerated math, could be Algebra 1 Geometry B, could be Algebra 2, or sorry, Algebra 1 Geometry A, or it could be Algebra 2 Geometry B, or even in some cases, honors geometry. Government and health, or AP government, or AP human geography, and a world language and an elective. So very, very similar in a lot of ways. And these are just a typical view of it, but it's not what every one should look like. So kind of some common myths, some things that I just talked about a little bit. I really tried to stress this to the kids last week. Some common myths are that you have to take an AP course to get into college. Absolutely not true. Colleges accept a student who completes an quote-unquote on-level curriculum throughout their years. College acceptance is based on high school graduation, GPAs, and their other criteria. So it's just simply taking an AP course does not ensure your only path into college. Another myth is that you can't get the Hope Scholarship if you get a C in a class. Again, you take 23 to 24 credits over the course of 4 years. All goes into calculating that Hope GPA, and one single C is not going to tank that whole possibility to get a Hope Scholarship. If a student takes a class much earlier than their peers, then it's better for college entrance. Also not true. Just remember that everything comes in time during certain years for a reason. I did have, just as an example, a student currently in 9th grade approached me asking if they could take AP Psychology next year, and I just kind of explained to them that 10th grade year was not an appropriate time for them to take that class. That's more of an 11th and 12th grade. And I think that they were kind of caught up in that myth. They really wanted to get to it and get it out of the way because they wanted to be a psychology major. And I said, just give it time. 10th grade is not the year for it. And the other is that AP and honors classes are needed to gain the rigor to prepare you for college. Also not true. Like I said, everybody has their own path. Everybody should hopefully be enrolled in and receiving the instruction that they need to be successful. Just taking honors or AP does not ensure that that's the only way that you're going to get rigor. Trust me, those on-level classes are more than rigorous for the kids. So another big thing that I stressed to them, and these are just a few of probably over 100 different examples, of clubs, activities, things to get involved in. What I told your students last week, and something that I always told my own middle school students when they get to high school, is what are you going to get involved in? And I told them that there was only one acceptable answer, only one unacceptable answer. And that one unacceptable answer was, I'm just going to focus on school. Yes, you have to focus on school, but in order to enrich that high school experience, you really have to find kind of your group, your people in the school, and clubs, activities, sports, performing arts, all those things are what makes high school a really rich experience for them. I can also tell you that being involved in more things definitely helps kids academically. Sometimes the busier they are, the more that they're involved in, the better they are at budgeting their time towards their homework and their academics. So please, please, please encourage your kids to find their space. I told them you're one of about 1,850 students in the school, and you have to have your group. You got to find your people some way, somehow. Okay, so on that topic, just some advice for you as parents. The absolute number one is to keep up with their attendance, make sure they're coming to school, going to all their classes, keep up with their grades. That really is the number one piece of advice that I can give you. If you don't use Infinite Campus now, learn how to use it and check it frequently. Turn on those updates. Not to helicopter over them and, you know, worry about every single grade is an A or B or C, but just to know that they are on the right track and making progress. Even though they start to talk like young adults, they start to look like young adults, we got to remember that they're still kids at heart, and they need, probably now more than they've needed it in the past, they need our guidance, they need our little pushing hands to help them along the way. So look at teacher websites, which we don't use quite as much anymore since COVID. Everything's kind of pushed over towards Teams. But, you know, look again in Infinite Campus, look for missed work, look for upcoming assignments. If you have kids taking honors and AP classes, make sure that you find out at the end of the year what their summer assignments are and that they complete those heading into there. Encourage them to have a life and school balance. What do they love? Could be inside, could be outside of school, and how involved are they? Going back to my last point. And know that we want the same thing for your kids. We all show up here as a group of professional educators every day to make sure that your kids have everything that they need to set the foundation for their success that's going to put them on whatever path they choose in their adult life. Okay, so we're going to go through some of the areas that are mostly included in our electives, all the things that you are looking at now as you're making those elective selections with your kids. So one of the departments is the Fine Arts department. On the music side of things, there's band, chorus, orchestra, musical theater, and then there are elective classes in piano and guitar currently. Those are one semester classes where your students can learn how to play and explore an instrument. And then adding on next year, that you probably saw in the course catalog and the elective selection sheet, we're going to add in a non-band member drum class, and we're going to add in a music appreciation class. So there's kind of 4 semester-long music experiences that your student can choose from, even if they're not in one of the music programs, band, chorus, orchestra, or musical theater. In the visual art side of things, a whole array of courses. There is more than enough art offered to keep your student busy for all 4 years if that's their passion area. As you've probably seen, the one caveat is that the gatekeeper is that intro to art class. So many of them have taken it in 8th grade. If they have not, but they are an artistic inclined student and want to pursue that path here in high school, they make sure that you put that intro to art class. And then after that, they can venture into ceramics, jewelry, drawing and painting. We have digital design, computer animated stuff, photography, and then AP classes in 2D art, 3D art, drawing, and actually art history, all things that will come later in their artistic progression. On the career technical and agricultural education side, otherwise known as Ctae, on the left here, there are all of our pathways listed out. So there's allied health and medicine, which prepares students for careers in the medical field. It kind of splits into a more clinical focus and a sports medicine focus as they get towards the end of that pathway. There's animation and digital media, automobile maintenance and light repair. There's a computer science pathway, engineering and technology, fashion merchandising, retail management, game design, graphic design, marketing and management, and sports medicine. So there's a lot of pathways. There's honestly something that could fit everybody. Pathways mean a progression of classes over 3 to 4 years of high school, and they're all finished by an end of pathway assessment that students get a special seal on their diploma indicating that success. It's something awesome to put on their resumes as they're applying to colleges, and it just kind of shows, you know, dedication towards a chosen path. There's also a lot of opportunities inside of those pathways to earn recognitions and certifications along the way in the automotive and the medical fields, in graphic design. So that's our Ctae, Career Technical and Agricultural Education. Another area is the physical education department. So this year we had weight training classes as an elective, kind of beginning and weight and advanced weight training. There's the personal fitness that Ms. Chilson talked about. There's also health that is taught by the PE department. And then there was general PE and intro to rec games classes. Coming up for next year, you're going to start to see kind of an expanded array of weight training. We have a whole like rebuilt and restocked weight facility that probably rivals a lot of small colleges around the country in the quality of equipment that we have. And so we're expanding out those offerings into more targeted levels, even including a class that is specifically targeted towards our JV and varsity athletes. And then we'll be adding in some other elective PE classes for next year. So the next is in the world language department. We offer 3 languages here at Hooch. We offer French, Latin, and Spanish. We, in the past, had offered other languages. There are other choices available through Fulton Virtual School, such as German, Chinese, Japanese. So if those are languages that your child wants to pursue, that's something that they should inquire about. But here on campus, we teach French, Latin, and Spanish, all the way from the level 1 class up to advanced placement in all of them. So when a student takes world languages, they're able to apply and to earn an international diploma skills seal. They need to acquire the interdisciplinary skills to be globally competent and competitive out in that world environment. That international skills diploma seal is awarded to high school students who complete that international education curriculum and engage in extracurricular activities in that world language area. And it signals to those future employees or employers and colleges that a student is prepared to participate in our global economy. Also through our world language department, there is a biliteracy seal. So all Georgia public school students are eligible to attain this seal of biliteracy based on evidence and achieving a required level of language proficiency in English plus 1 or more other languages. We have a beautiful global diverse community here in Johns Creek and at Chattahoochee, and many of our students are already bilingual. So this is something that if you have that gift in your life, or you are just academically into world languages and you can achieve that level of proficiency, something that your child should look into pursuing during their years here. So next I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Crooks, who will talk to you just a little bit about AP Human Geography and what that class can offer.
Thank you so much, Mr. Adele. I just wanted to talk to you parents tonight real quick about AP Human Geography. It's one of the few AP options 9th graders have, and I think it is extremely beneficial for 9th graders to take. A couple good reasons why freshmen should take AP Human Geography. To start, it's a semester course that's split up over 2 semesters, so I get to go at a slower pace than every other AP class practically in the school. Second, part of my instruction is teaching the kids how to take an AP class. So how to take notes, how to read a textbook on your own, how to take notes from a lecture, like how to look at a PowerPoint without a teacher like filling in the blanks for them, type thing, to really get them ready for the other AP classes that they're going to take in the future. One of the great things about human geography, the class itself is basically how human beings have affected the world. So we look at everything from politics to culture to population to agriculture to like city building. And so throughout my class, I get to touch on every other social science that they will eventually have to take in high school, be it in on-level or AP. So getting their toes a little wet their freshman year builds them for success in the upcoming years of their high school experience. Freshmen in my class have been very successful in the AP exam. My freshman last year had over 90% pass the AP exam, and the national average was below 50%. So they really can excel very much in my class. We do hands-on activities through every unit. We're just starting the agriculture unit this week, and my kids will find out Friday that they have to make a cooking show pilot and videotape themselves cooking something and explaining the agricultural impacts of the things that they are cooking. So every unit has some sort of hands-on activity like that. As far as like workload, to start, I don't give a summer assignment, especially with freshmen coming in. Like, enjoy that summer, like come into high school fresh, don't even worry about it. I got plenty of time to go over everything I need to go over. Usually we have a vocabulary assignment and notes assignments for each chapter, and that we take about 2 to 3 weeks per chapter. So that's their only real major assignments that they have outside of school. I usually give them about 10 to 15 minutes in class to work on all their stuff. So I don't want them falling behind. I would rather use that time helping them get better at writing their notes or get better at understanding the content. So as far as the time commitment, mine is going to be far less than most of your other AP classrooms, because I know, one, they're freshmen, and if I'm being honest, like a lot of my freshmen that first semester were a little gun shy coming into school. Like they were a little worried. They didn't know if they were going to be able to keep up with the pace. And once they realized they could do it, now you can start speeding up in second semester. We have at least 4 weeks to prepare for the AP exam at the end of the term. So there is an extremely high percentage chance of your student being successful in AP Human Geography as a freshman. Now the class is 9th through 12th graders. So even if you can't get in your freshman year because you're trying to fit it into your schedule, it still is a beneficial class anytime throughout high school. And if you have any questions, that's my email at the bottom. There are a lot of Crookses at Chattahoochee. So my email is crooksma@fultonschools.org. There's another Mr. Crooks that teaches US history, and then there's a Mrs. Crooks that teaches Spanish. But I'm the person you're looking for. If you have any questions or anything, please feel free to email me. I'll be happy to answer you. I think I sent an email blast out with the 8th grade parents. If you have any questions about that, please feel free to reach out. I usually get back within 24 hours. And again, the Hooch is a wonderful place to be. I've been teaching 18 years, and this school is just phenomenal. Like, every teacher wants your kids to do the best. Every teacher works hard to help them do their best. I think you guys are really going to love it here. It is a fantastic, fantastic school. So thank you so much, Mr. Adele, for letting me jump into your meeting and talk about my class.
I appreciate it. Yeah, your class is a phenomenal place. And so talk to your kids about it. You know, if it's something that they feel inclined to pursue, it's an awesome class to start with. So just in case you don't have a chance to push or, to write all this down, I am going to send this presentation over to Taylor Road to push out to parents as well. So we will go over next to Mrs. Weil to talk to you a little bit about TAG here and everything that they do.
Hello, I am Miss Weil, and I am the TAG department chair. That is the gifted department. Many of your kids are already in gifted, and many of them will be tested by me to maybe get into gifted. We do offer some special programs in the gifted department and some special classes. We have 8 teachers that are in our TAG department. There are 27 teachers at Chattahoochee who are TAG certified, and 31 of them are AP certified. So that's great numbers. Mr. Cinco and I teach most of the TAG classes, and this year Mr. Jenkins joined us to teach some of the internship classes. And we do seminars, internships, directed studies. We do all the TAG testing, and hopefully we'll get back to doing field trips if they let us. 47% of Chattahoochee's population is TAG, which is a great number. So when you are a freshman, you can get tag credit by taking either of the AP Gov or the AP Human classes, or if you're in an honors class that is taught by a certified gifted teacher, okay, which most of them are. We do have some 9th grade field trips that you can take. In the past, we have gone to the Alliance Theater, the Carter Presidential Library, the Museum for Human and Civil Rights, and the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. You can get credit by doing an independent project. Once your student is in 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, they have AP classes. We have internships, seminars, like a Hire Me seminar that is a prerequisite for internship that teaches resume building skills and interview skills. A directed studies, which is a class that the student decides the topic that they want to study, and they create their own projects for that class. If you're not in tag, like I said, we'll be looking into testing more people when y'all get here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Weil. And our kids do get so much out of tag. Just those directed studies opportunities and the internships and everything else are definitely popular and something that our kids seek out. And Ms. Weil does a tremendous job in ensuring that everybody, again, on a common theme, gets what they need here at Chattahoochee. So with that, we are going to conclude the presentation for tonight. I think Ms. Chilson has one more point.
Well, we have a lot of questions that have been asked in the chat, and I do want to clarify some things, and maybe you too, Mr. Adele. The first question, and I think I missed this point too when you were talking because I was typing, but can you explain a little bit more about how a student would get the invite for AP Government or ASP or any or AP Human even? How they go about making those selections? What's the process for 8th graders to get that choice?
Yeah, so for AP Human, it's really open to you. If that's what you choose, you would put that into one of the elective selection boxes. You know, just know what you're kind of going into in picking an AP class. Like I said earlier, don't pick it just because it has the title of AP, but pick it because you're interested and want to pursue that challenge. In ASP and AP Gov, the criteria is similar, but not exactly the same for both of them. But we are starting with the primary group of students who are already accelerated in the middle school level, meaning that they're enrolled in 9th grade literature or higher, Algebra 1 or a higher math class, potentially taking the physical science high school credit class over at Taylor Road, or in social studies if they're in honors, like Georgia Studies, advanced or tag served classes. And then we're starting to look at some criteria. We don't have a lot of milestones data like we would have had in past years, but we are pulling info from their iReady assessments and kind of looking for students who read in really high national percentiles in their Lexile levels and their reading comprehension. They're kind of in the upper tier of that. So we're looking for students who are really academically qualified to be pushed, especially ASP. I mean, doing 2 years of high school science, one of them biology being an end of course test. In the course of a year, it's really, 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 really rigorous. So we want to know that our kids are going to be well suited for it. And then we're going to work with the teachers to make sure that we haven't missed anybody just via class participation.
Okay. I'm going to try and go through some of these other questions that have been asked a lot about AP Human and the credits and things like that. One of the questions, and I'm just not even going to type my answer because I'm just going to answer it right here. But does AP Human Geography earn the student 1 credit for social studies? And I want to be clear, AP Human Geography is an elective. It does not count towards one of the 3 social studies that's required for graduation. It is a social studies elective. So it does count towards an academic GPA in a student's cumulative grades and everything, and even towards their HOPE GPA or just the core GPA, just your academic GPA. But you cannot replace AP Human for American Government. American Government is a required social study. So if you really want to take AP Human, which is a fantastic class and it is a year-long class, and I have students that love that class every year, then you really need to consider taking American Government over the summer just to get rid of that requirement, to check it off. If you're thinking of doing AP Government, then that would be the class you can take, and take AP Human later. I mean, there's going to be room later. You can't do everything your 9th grade year. You have to make some choices and know that we only have 6 classes and 6 spaces to get things in. Okay, so if AP Human is a priority for your child or for you, then American Government really needs to be done over the summer prior to starting 9th grade. You can certainly do it later, but it's just piling up requirements, because then later there's going to be something else your student wants to take, and we just can't keep putting off graduation requirements. You have to get those done. Okay, the other question that I wanted to address is, somebody said, how do grades convert to credits? And I apologize for not explaining this more clearly. When a student earns, an 80 in that semester 1 class, and once you pass the class, you earn that half credit. The majority of classes at the high school level are year-long. So even though it's a half credit and a half credit paired together, they're, in the schedule, first period, 9th grade English with Mr. White, and then second semester, you also have 9th grade English with Mr. White. You're earning a half credit for first semester if you pass the class, and you're earning another half credit for the second half of the English if you pass the class. If you do not pass with a 70 or higher, then you do not earn that credit. You got a failing grade, you don't earn the credit, you have to go to summer school to make up the credit. So that's where it's really important to get passing grades so that you get credit. If you pass all of your classes in a typical year, you would be awarded 6 credits total, meaning 3 for the first semester and 3 for the second semester. Because if each class is a half credit in one semester, you could potentially earn 3 credits each semester, 6 for the year. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, one other question that we got, and then I'm going to kind of scroll through and make sure I'm not missing anything, because this is being recorded and it saves on us having to answer the same question later down the line. What high school courses are accepted as credits at college? So it is important to know that there are some classes that a student can take in high school and earn a college credit. Specifically, advanced placement classes, students have an opportunity to get a college credit. Is it a guarantee? No. It all depends on how the student performs on the advanced placement exam at the end of the school year. So a student can take an AP course like AP Human Geography, for example, and that is a year-long course, and they could do great on it. And then when it comes to the AP exam in May, they take the exam, and if they score at a certain level, 5 being the highest, then the university that they want to attend later can award credit at that time. It's not something that, it's an automatic. It depends on the university. A student that earns a 3 on the AP exam at one university, that college could take the credit and award credit. At another school, a 3 isn't high enough, and you had to get a 4 or a 5. So it just depends for AP classes. So it's not a blanket statement that everybody can get college credit because they took an AP class. I will say that, and this may be way too much information, but the more selective the college, the more competitive the school, AP classes tend to be kind of the gold standard. And the reason why is because AP classes are standardized across the curriculum, across the entire United States. A student in Georgia takes the exact same AP exam, the teachers are trained in how to teach the course. There's a lot of standards that go into it. The same student out in Maine, California, New York, wherever, they're all taking the exact same exam. And so that's kind of, you know, colleges like to see, the more selective colleges like to see that. There are a lot of schools that are totally fine if you never took an AP, never took an honors class, you just did well in your classes. That's totally fine too. There's a lot of colleges out there that are like that as well. So it's not a one size fits all kind of thing, which is what Mr. Adele said earlier in the presentation. We also have what's called dual enrollment. Dual enrollment is typically classes that are taken at a local college 11th and 12th grade year. It's not something a 9th grader can do. It's not even something really a 10th grader, a lot of 10th graders can do. It's just, it mainly is for 11th and 12th. And dual enrollment gets the college credit when you pass the class. You've taken a college class, you got the credit. However, if you take a class down at Georgia State and you know, you do very well in this English 1101 class and you get that college credit, you could be going to a school in Minnesota and they won't take that credit. It doesn't transfer to their university. You just don't know until you do your due diligence on whether or not the class will transfer. So, you know, if you're staying in the state of Georgia, it likely will be fine, and that course would be accepted as, you know, that you take in high school or whatever could count for college credit. So between AP classes and dual enrollment, those are your two main ways to try and get courses that will count for college credit later. It is a little complicated. Like dual enrollment, a student could take a class at Gwinnett Tech and then take the same type of class at Georgia State, and the professor teaches it totally differently. It all depends on academic freedom as to how the professor wants to dole out the material. It's not necessarily standardized across the curriculum, which universities know that, and that's why the more selective or more competitive institutions may want to see an AP over a dual enrollment, but it really depends on what the student's long-term plan is. If the student plans to, you know, stay in state, a UGA or Georgia Tech or Georgia State or Kennesaw or any of those kinds of schools, doing a dual enrollment, totally fine. Even some other colleges, it's totally fine. But it's just one of those things that you really need to do some research on where the plan is. I say all of that knowing that your children are going to be ninth graders. They're, you know, we may not be at the point yet where they know where they want to go. They know what they want to do. They know what they want to major in. They may be completely undecided. That's totally fine. At this point, it should be about exploration and doing the best day to day in the moment, getting your homework turned in, getting your good grades, getting being at school every day, you know, doing the best you can on the day-to-day stuff so that when you do get to your 11th or 12th grade year and you're applying for things, it all kind of comes together, the package is there. I hope that makes sense. Mr. Adele, did that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Let me see what other kind of big questions we have.
I'm scrolling through too to see if there's any other big ones.
I know. So middle school credits for high school credits. I know some students are taking certain classes at the middle school that could potentially count for high school credit, like a language or a physical science or even maybe an algebra class or something like that. You have to accept the credit at the end of the year and know that that is going to go on to the high school transcript. If you decline the credit, then that's fine too, but you're kind of restarting in that respect. It talks about, let me think what else. There are Esol classes in high school. Yes, students have to be placed in those based on testing requirements. Summer can be used for making up or getting ahead. I do caution students, when a student comes to me and says they really want to take something in the summer, my first question is why? And what are you going to take, and why are we doing this? Because I do have some seniors that they've maxed out everything. There is there's nothing left for them to take because they've done it all, and that really is a waste of a senior year. You know, so I really caution students on doing too much to get ahead, because then your senior year schedule looks like you just you've already done it. You know, like there's nothing really of substance in your schedule left. So, you know, moving too far ahead is not a good idea. If you are trying to do something in the summer in order to make room for something you really want to do, then that's, you know, that could be okay. I think we've got to talk through what class it is. Any classes that you want to take in the summer for this summer prior to ninth grade year all have to be approved by Ms. Sabula, your 8th grade counselor. So you really need to talk to her if you want to take a health, a government, a personal fitness, anything like that over the summer. That has to be approved, and she may have paperwork for you to do for that. That all goes through her. That does not go through the high school. You're not our students until you step in the building in August. Trying to think. Somebody asked if chemistry was a requirement for graduation. It is not a requirement for graduation. However, a lot of the upper level sciences, chemistry is a prerequisite. But students do have to take either a chemistry or an earth systems or an environmental for graduation. So you have to have one of those. You don't necessarily have to take chem, but if you want to take forensic science or AP biology or AP environmental or anything like that, chemistry is a prerequisite. So a lot of students do chemistry their 10th grade year. I think those are the main things. I'm not sure if I'm missing anything else. Ms. Weil, did you see anything that really stood out to you?
I think one that I saw repeated a few times was just questions about high school credit coming from middle school. So yes, of course, those transfer up here, they slide right in. So students who are taking high school credits now will be in an even better place by the time they get to that senior year. They'll have met most of their requirements. The middle schools towards the end of this year will be sending you a letter via those high school credit classes asking whether you want to accept or decline the credit for that class. I did see that somebody asked that, you know, about that, and then about retaking to make better scores. So coming from the middle school, that's a choice that you have to make for those high school credit classes. If your child didn't make a very good grade in it and you want to see if you can retake that class to make a higher grade, that is really your only option. But you know, once they get here, if they take Algebra 1 in 9th grade, they can't take it again in 10th grade to try and get an A when they made a C in 9th grade. Once it's here, it's done. So that middle school area is a little kind of protective cushion for the students. But make sure that you're on the lookout for those letters and you choose whether to accept or decline that credit.
Somebody posted about where can they read more about the electives than what they are. And I just mentioned that we do have a course catalog that's posted, and that would probably be the best spot to get all the descriptions, the course descriptions for each of the classes, not only electives, but academic classes as well.
Yeah, and I believe that Taylor Road mailed that out or emailed it out to all 8th grade parents as well. That course catalog.
Okay, good. Sorry, I'm scrolling through questions. There's so many questions.
There was one question about, will there be any further tours for the school? I don't think we're planning on any other visits for a whole class, but if anybody, you know, needs something, just reach out, and I'm always happy to kind of show around.
I did see a question about iReady is used a lot in middle school. Does Chattahoochee assign iReady? I too have 2 middle school boys over at Haynesbridge, and I'm well aware that iReady is a daily requirement, and but it is not something that Chattahoochee assigns as part of the day. We don't have that expectation. I know at the middle school there might be like a student success skills class or something that they do it in. That's not part of Chattahoochee's program. Now there may be other things that are assigned, you know, that are used to kind of see where students are and that kind of thing, but iReady is not one of them. I know that parents can do students should be doing their selections now for elective choices, correct? And that closes, I think, on Friday.
It does, yes, closes on Friday.
And then I know, Mr. Adele, you were going to go down to the middle school and just do some cleanup, right, next week?
Yeah, there will be a group of us coming through during the Kids Connections time on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of next week. And they'll come in one class during those 3 days, and they'll get to kind of sit in front of somebody from Hooch and just kind of go through their schedule very quickly, make sure that they have 6 credits, make sure that they have all the basics needed to be ready for that 9th grade year. So, you know, please try and go in and select those electives beforehand so that they can be in there and we can see what they want. But if not, we will help them make that choice when we meet with them next week.
And I just want to address, I know some students are, or one parent was talking about wondering whether or not they could put off the world language, or maybe the student doesn't want to do the language right into as one of their electives as a 9th grader. That's totally fine. Some students do it 11th and 12th grade year. Some students don't do it at all. It just depends on the student's plan. But if a student doesn't want to do a language this 9th grade year, they would just pick up a different elective. So it's just, you know, making choices at this point. I would say that if the student did well in middle school in the language and is going to earn or accept the credit for the first year of the language, it's good to go ahead and do the 2nd year 9th grade because it's still fresh on the mind, and you know the understanding of the language is fresh. But of course, if it didn't go well, or if you wanted to change languages, you could always do 10th and 11th grade or 11th and 12th. It doesn't have to be done 9th grade year. Hope that answers that question. But there are a lot of things to consider. I would say also a student could try something freshman year and then find out that really isn't their jam and they want to do something else 10th grade year. That's okay to do. I mean, we like to have pathway completers where students are finishing a pathway for something they really enjoyed, but I also want students to enjoy high school and enjoy their experience and find something that they're interested in and passionate about and focus on those things. One thing that is different is, you know, in middle school connections classes switch a lot through the year. In high school, it really doesn't do that. So please be mindful that when you choose an elective, you're pretty much choosing it for the whole year. And we don't change classes from semester to semester. If you did well in the class and you passed that class, you're going to be taking that elective the 2nd semester. It's not like middle school where you might every 6 weeks change to something different. We don't do that at the high school. I think those are my main things. We really do look forward to working with you and your children as they, you know, get to be high schoolers and all the way through graduation. It's amazing how students change a lot from 9th grade to senior year. They are not the same people. They are more independent and proactive and inquisitive as they go through high school. Just that independence just soars. So if you, you know, think of anything else, you're certainly welcome to reach out. But Ms. Sabula is really your main contact person for questions. If you have questions, she's your contact person, especially for summer stuff. And Mr. Adele will be speaking with children next week in their connections classes to follow up on electives.
So this will conclude the night. I'll stay on for just a few more minutes, and if there's any final questions that pop up in the Q&A, we'll try and get those answered. But otherwise, thank you so much for attending, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the evening. Okay, for anybody still on the session, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up for tonight, but thank you so much again for being in attendance, and please reach out to your contacts at Taylor Road or to myself over here at Chattahoochee if you have any further questions. Have a wonderful evening.